Shalom and welcome to Scout Israel. Welcome to the new series of Scout Israel Basics. We're going to be answering basic questions about Israel and about Judaism, and this one is entitled, Who is a Jew? Hit like to hit share, and also especially if you want regular updates, hit subscribe and comments in the comment section below, especially ones you feel passionate about, especially the more passionate you get. Remember, nice angry block capitals always helps that one. Who is a Jew? So, one thing that many people don't actually talk about, they don't talk about the fact to understand who is a Jew, you have to understand a little bit of Jewish history. For that, I recommend my series of podcasts on Jewish history. You can search for the history of Judaism on most podcast servers, or just click the link above to some of the ones I've videoized. Is that a word? I think that's a word. Yeah, videoized. We'll call that a word then. So, who is a Jew starts with the word Jew. It comes from the ancient Hebrew word Yahud, mentioned in many ancient texts, resident of the kingdom of Yahud. So obviously whoever's a Jew must be a resident of the ancient kingdom of Yahud, right? No, not right. Because of course if you walk down the street in, I don't know, Schenectady, choosing a place at random, you'll meet Jews who don't live in the ancient kingdom of Yahud and don't have much to do with that at all. So what is going on? Is it a religion? Is it a nationality? Is it a culture? Is it a linguistic group? Well, probably not that. Is it many of these things? It could be many of these things. Is it a religion? No, it's possible to be a secular Jew. You can't be a secular Catholic. You can be a secular Jew. Is it a language group? No, we all speak all these other different languages. Is it a nationality? Well, I think there's some very, very proud Americans who would disagree with you if you would call it a nationality, but it certainly has national elements, because if you come to Israel, you'll see plenty of people who say nationalistic, I'm Jewish, religiously I'm not. Is it a culture? Yes, partly and partly not. There's many different cultures. Is it an ethnicity? It's a collection of numerous different ethnicities, all managing to cohabit in the same category. You have Ethiopian Jews, Ashkenazic Jews from who originated in Eastern Europe, though actually if you follow my podcast, eventually I'm going to get to the fact that they start somewhere else. But anyway, never mind that one. Sephardic Jews, who come from Jews who settled in different places after the expulsion from Spain, and the list really goes on, doesn't it now? A classic thing people say about who is a Jew, they like to look at the Israeli legal definition of who is a Jew, and they will tell you, aha, who is a Jew is based on having one Jewish grandparent exactly like the Nazis. No, this is not exactly like the Nazis. Lots of videos and information online, and your mate Steve will tell you, oh, exactly like the Nazis. No, having one Jewish grandparent, according to the Nazis, made you Mischlinger. In fact, there was a famous Nazi, Emil Maurice, who was generally agreed to be Mischlinger, one Jewish great-grandfather, I think, but they still kind of agreed that he was of this mixed race category, and he was declared an honorary Aryan by Adolf Hitler. So no, the state of Israel is not going by that definition to make you Jewish, because that didn't make you Jewish according to the Nazis. It did make you suspect, though. And there was this issue, you have to go through a trial, and you have to be declared Aryan. Another thing, so where it is true, the Israeli legal definition says one Jewish grandparent, not according to the Nazis, again, that would make you Mischlinger. According to the Nazis, by the way, to be properly Jewish, you had to have more than one grandparent, so the state of Israel would be going slightly less than the Nazis then. That you do have to be not professing another religion. There is the classic benchmark case in Israeli legal law of Brother Daniel. Now, Brother Daniel, it was agreed that he was allowed to come to Israel under the right of the return, but then it was discovered that even though he was, I believe, a Holocaust survivor, and he was a Roman Catholic monk. So if he was a Holocaust survivor and a Roman Catholic monk, could he come to Israel under the law of return? They changed it for him. You can't be professing another religion. You might say, aha, I have seen many people in Israel wearing crosses. After that, yes, this is kind of an awkward fact. People do still get in under the law of return and profess a different religion. But in theory, not in practice, this shouldn't be happening. The topic is Zionism. Now, Zionism really defines Judaism as a nationality. So you could say, so if you don't define yourself in national terms, are you anti-Zionist? Jury's out. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's more like you have the possibility of considering yourself a nationalist. It depends which Zionist you ask. It varies from Zionist to Zionist. It varies from... it also varies which Jews you ask, depending on how they define themselves. I'm Jewish. One thing I would, though, tell you, if you are using the argument that you should not define yourself in national terms, that is not correct. What the Zionists say is a lie, and you aren't actually Jewish, then that is not so nice, really. That is actually quite bad, because people have a concept of self-determination. A lot of these things, who is a Jew, relies on one big central thing: self-determination. I have the right to determine for myself who I am. I will label myself. Throughout history, other people have labelled Jews. Most recently is the Holocaust. We had a big J stamped on our passport. Some people who didn't want to be known as Jews were labelled as Jews. People were defined as Jews by the Catholic Church. The people who were trying to be Catholic but unwittingly keeping Jewish customs because their ancestors way back kept those customs in Spain up until it was disbanded. The Spanish Inquisition would hunt them down and declare them Judaizers. For the good and for the bad, other people have defined what as Jews, but for self-determination. Jews themselves would define themselves onto Jews. On a more personal note, I actually don't have a problem with people who don't define Judaism in national terms, if they're Jewish. If they're not Jewish, I'm sorry, I'm not defining other people what they are for them. You can argue about that. You can leave a comment saying, I don't, I do. There's no evidence to say I've defined anybody in any terms that they would disagree with. So please, don't define me in terms which you find convenient to you and your arguments. Jews don't like that. We want to define ourselves. That's the main actual principle of Zionism, is that Jews will define themselves and who they are, not other people. And in this case, if enough of us want to club together and define ourselves as a nation, why can't we? I heard recently about a rabbi called David Volpe, I think that's how his name is pronounced, who discussed it as a family. So my idea of extending that a little bit, yes, it is like a family. It's like one of those crazy families you see on some kind of American situational comedy or sitcom, where you see like a family that manages to adopt the kid on next door who somehow appears in the family even though he's not related, and it's got like extended members of the family from random places where they seemingly have no necessarily national or ethnic connections. That kind of family, like what's that show called? The hit show Modern Family. The hit show Modern Family features I think two men adopted like a baby who's not from the same ethnic background. That really seems to be unrelated, but they actually are related, and they're very much a family. And if you were to not call them a family based on the show, I think you'd be wrong there. They're definitely a family. And that's Judaism. Now, the discussion about defining ourselves as a nation in the land of Israel? Let's leave that to another time, and put your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe. And you've been wonderful.